Hey guys, this is Eva Palakova, and this is episode 2 of the Conscious Leader series. And today we're talking about pride, one of my most uncomfortable but favorite topics, and how pride influences our motivation. Before I go there, I want to talk about something a little bit more heady, and there's the difference between content and context. So bear with me. Dr. Hawkins, who's my favorite teacher, talks about it all the time, but it took me a while to get it, but it's pretty important. Okay? So our level of consciousness is actually given by our context. The filter, our context, is like a framing through which we see the world. Why is it so dark? Let me twist this a little bit. Maybe that's better. So the context is how we see the world, colors our, or gives us our level of consciousness. Does that make sense? So the truer the context, the more truth there is to the context, that's better, to the view, then the higher level of consciousness. However, the context, the filter, is really, really, really hard to see. It's a total blind spot to most of us. We just see what we see, right? What we can see is the content. So even our thoughts, our feelings, our behavior, that's the content. The context is the kind of the framing, right? It's the blind spot. So how do we know? How do we know if pride is part of our context? Because that would lower our level of consciousness if there's pride, right? Pride is below the level of integrity. It's between 175 and 200. So if our context is colored by pride, then we will see ourselves as a martyr or a victim or a rescuer, right? The one that needs to, or the survivor, like I'm the one who survived, right? Or somebody who needs to fix things for others, right? There's a self-importance in that. Or somebody who's better than others or worse than others. There's some comparison going on. Okay, so how do we actually get to see this blind spot? How do we get to see if pride is coloring our context? So I'm going to share something with you. Something that's pretty funny. Yesterday morning, I went on a hike, a little walk on a hike and bike trail. There's like this bike path, right? It's about this wide. And I'm walking on the far right side of it. Behind me, I hear the ding of a bell, a cyclist coming by, right? And it's just a split second, I noticed this irritation with it. It's like, don't you have enough room? Like, there's all this room here. Come on. It's like, I'm important, right? I'm just walking here. Don't disturb me. It was not even verbal. It's just the irritation. And I was like, whoa, why am I irritated by that, right? I'm having this nice walk. And the answer that came to me, well, people are just ruthless. And as I said, everything is a projection. Everything, how we see others, how we see the world, how we see ourselves, everything is a projection of the context. So that's a window, right? So if I see others as ruthless, why do I see others as ruthless? It's because I see myself as important, right? There's the self-importance in there. There's the pride in there. What am I? I'm important. The ego tries to tell you who you are. That is the pride in it. And so if I see myself as important, then I will see others as disrespectful or ruthless or whatever, right? Like not treating me the right way or whatever. Anyway, so that gave me a little bit of a window. So just notice how you see other people or how you see how other people treat you. The other thing is, part of pride is also self-doubt. So if there's pride, it needs to be always validated. So self-doubt calibrates at 180. It's also below 200. So it's below the level of integrity. So the pride needs to constantly be fed some validation. And how do we do that? It tends to crave validation, for example, if we're in a relationship, through our partner's respect and love and attention, right? If we don't get it, then we go in despair, we go into lower states, right? Somebody leaves us, there's a loss of love, but there's also a loss of, self, essentially. Because all of a sudden, the ego just doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know, oh, wow, am I even a person? Am I even valid? What's going on? So there's a huge loss of sense of self in that. We also need to tend to crave acknowledgement and the recognition from other people. We want the golden star, we want the likes on Facebook, or we want, the applause, the acknowledgement. Another way we validate the pride is our status. So it took some brutal self-honesty on my part, but we tend to gain pride and validate ourselves through who we are and what roles we play, right? So is it through being a good mom or good daughter or through a great entrepreneur or good employee or team leader or whatever? When I let the restaurant go, it was really brutal because everybody knew me as the chain restaurant owner, right? And honestly, I was over the restaurant so long before I got rid of it. Honestly, it was just, it's just not my thing after a while because I knew my calling was somewhere else, but it doesn't matter. But I didn't want to let it go because I gained my pride, my status out of that. Then there is also another way we validate ourselves, and there's how we are, our way of being. So then we have to ask ourselves, how do I define myself as my way of being? I was searching for lurking around the corner when I say, I just want to be of service to people. Is it really that? Or is it the pride of being of service to people? Here's another one. I'm a conscious, surrendered, introspective, self-honest person is one of mine, right? Is it that? Is it really that? Or is the pride of being that? And there's just something we have to answer for ourselves. For people in the 300s, it's very common to say, I love making a difference with people. We all love making a difference with people. Right? Through our business, a lot of us that are business owners, we love making a difference. We love helping. But is it the pride of that is mixed in? Then there's something to surrender. And we don't have to surrender making a difference, by the way. We just need to surrender the attachment. The attachment lies in the pride. The attachment to making a difference. Would I be okay of not doing it? When we get to that point, then we're good, right? But we have to be willing to surrender the juice we get out of I am such and such person. Transformation is another thing. Like we are transformed human beings, right? We're doing so much inner work. And then, as they say, yesterday transformation is today's ego trip. So we need to let go of that attachment too. Let's talk about some numbers real quick. So for those of you who really like those numbers like I do, on the Map of Consciousness by Dr. David R. Hawkins, here's so that you can know the frequencies of these different things. Between 175 and 200 is where pride is, right? So 175, starting from bottom up, 175 gets motivated by the pride of figuring things out and fixing other people, right? We like to advise, we like to fix, we like to jump in. That's also the LOC of workaholic, by the way, 175. 180, going up, gets prideful about its own suffering. It's the victim, right? But it gets prideful about it. It gets the juice out of it. It's also the martyr. Like, let me show you how much I'm martyring for the cause. Let me show you how much I'm sacrificing myself. Right? 180 is also the level of self-doubt, out of which comes the need for external validation. So self-doubt. Then 185 gets prideful about being better than. He is the prosecutor. He's the one that compare to others. See others as less than or more than, but mostly less than, right? I'm the only one capable here. Let me figure this out. Oh my gosh, you guys are a bunch of idiots. So, secretly, of course, we don't do it out loud. 190 is the pride of appearing a certain way, and it likes to take credit for things. Like it's the credit taking, right? I did that. It likes to take credit for a transformation too, instead of giving credit to God, right? 195 gets motivated by the pride of rescuing and helping others. So there's rescuers here that like to help. So those are frequencies. Now, if you're dealing with any of this, if you're related, hopefully you're related to some of it. Or maybe you didn't, and that's okay too. But does that mean that's your level of consciousness? That's the question. You're going, oh my gosh, am I at 185? First of all, if you are, that's okay. 85% of the world is below 200. So if you're on the upper end of the 200, then good, right? That's great. That's great. You're doing a great job. But a lot of people aren't. A lot of people in the 300s go in and out. There's a sensitive personality. They go in and out. It's just a lens. All of us have a shadow side. All of us have an ego. And the more we can look at the shadow side, the more we can surrender it and own it and release it, the higher we go up in consciousness. That's why we're doing this work. So don't worry about it. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Most likely you're not, because you would not be interested in committed spiritual work. So just keep doing the work. Don't worry about it, right? And by the way, guys, if you notice guilt coming in about all these emotions, if you notice guilt coming in, just notice it for what it is. You know, the ego is giving you all this stuff, and then it makes you feel bad about it. So just observe it for what it is. So what I want you to do this week is just notice it, right? Just notice it. Notice where pride is coming up. And reflect and contemplate this. What is truly motivating me? And then what is behind that motivation? So I want you to reflect this week on what is your source of motivation and see if you can notice or spot any pridefulness in it. Right? What's pridefulness? If you notice any defensiveness, then there's pride in it. If you notice any martyrdom, there's pride in it. If you notice you're scorning others or looking down on others, doesn't matter who it is, even if it's a homeless person, there's pride in it. If you notice yourself saying, my time is important, chop chop, right? Chop chop people, right? Even being late is narcissistic. For me it is anyway, because my time is more important than yours, right? Judging others or situations or looking down on anybody, that's pride. Don't feel bad about it. There's no guilt in it. It's just part of everybody's psyche. Or if you want to jump to rescue, right? If you can't help yourself, you just need to jump in. You know, you gotta realize, it took me a while to get, jumping to others to rescue is taking away their karmic opportunity to make their own karmic decisions, right? It deprives them of that opportunity. And making those decisions and owning their life is what makes them all go up in consciousness. So if we take them away, we're not helping. So reflect on that. You can reflect on that and you can follow along. Next week, we're going to be diving deep into one of those ego structures and going deeper, right? So for now, there's just contemplation and noticing of when pride comes up. And so you can follow along. This is free, right? You don't have to pay for this. And I try to give you as much content as possible because, you know, my prideful ego likes to feel like a good person. Anyway, but you also have the option to work with me in a one-on-one setting. And if that's interesting to you and you feel like you need somebody, you like somebody holding your hand, you want to go deeper, then definitely go to my website and schedule a session, evapalekova.com. But yeah, you can have it both ways, you know. A lot of you can't afford having a coach, so I like to give these for free, and I like to give you as much as I can. So keep following along, keep watching, keep doing the work. I love you guys. Thanks for watching.